World Cup and the African Nations Cup. Drop the mic. Give him a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Omar Al Duri. Have a seat, my brother. I still think that you guys can sound louder than this. Come on, you guys. Make some noise for Omar Al Duri one more time. And we're also going to be live streaming on this incredible channel called Find Fit People. Give them a big round of applause as well. They're right there. We are live streaming. And there is one empty seat right here.
Marriot.
Oh, I need Marriot. Okay, yeah, of course. Before I really want to start this, and this is not rehearsed, I got to shout out your family, man. Your one and only and your mother who are here, Marriot and Khala Fatma. Give them a big round of applause, you guys. Make some noise. The whole family. I think it's really important. Yes, you're gonna clap a lot because that's what I like. You know, I like people clapping a lot. Shout out to Muhammad Yanis and Christina Pulse 95. I see you guys. Okay, so Omar, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi.
Blessings and peace. First of all, we're gathered here today. You know, it's a beautiful thing, man. Reset. What a beautiful name. For me, the first question I gotta ask you. I'm going to leave some room for you guys to also ask some questions. And I want them to be very difficult, okay? Why release this book now? What was the spark? Was there a certain spark that led you to release a book now?
By the way, can we give a round of applause for Big Hass, please? You didn't expect that either, did you?
No. Good one.
Firstly, I just want to thank everyone for coming out here. As Big Hass said, Weslodge, family, friends, Find Fit People, Anna Schofield for going above and beyond, my beautiful mother and my wife. So I thought I'd just drop that in there. And to answer your question, Big Hass, I wouldn't say it's a moment that I thought I needed to write the book. I didn't actually, to be very honest, I didn't actually think that I was worthy of writing a book till I had meaning, and it took over 15 years to put down what I've learned, not just through education, but through life's lessons, to be able to put something forward simplified. Because at the end of the day, you know, things can get very complicated. The fitness industry, it has a lot of great people, and it has a lot of different opinions, especially as we move on in the industry. So having been in it for that long, I've given it away, but having been in it for that long, Reset is put because we're kind of scared of change, but we all have the capability of resetting, and that's the idea of anyone is capable of resetting and perfecting one of the 5 dominos.
I love that. You guys should definitely read the book since you're here, of course. Okay, I get it. But okay, let's retract a bit, a little bit, and talk to us about your passion for coaching. Because I see you talk to people, I see you interview some incredible people on Pulse 95 on your show, which you got to tune in today, right?
Yep.
Today, halftime show, Pulse 95 Radio. Why the passion? Because I happen to believe that, you know, I lead life with passion. It's always passion, passion. How did this passion for coaching come about with Omar Al Duri?
To be honest, I didn't actually know I was going to be a coach. I think my coaches have always put me in the line, like ahead of the line in terms of leading by example, because I wasn't vocal. And at the time I grew up, you had to be vocal to get your message out there. All the leaders that I saw, they were quite vocal and inspiring by talking to people and elevating people. But I actually think, and I'm not diverting the question, Big Hass, but I actually think some of the guys here, men and women, who have either been involved with me in a sport, in football, or have played with me frequently, will know that I like to lead by example, and I find it I have a huge responsibility to lead rather than talk about it. So that's why it took me 15 years to write a book, because I kind of struggled with the idea of coming to grips that a coach doesn't have to be vocal. They can lead by example, and they can also, you know, push things forward. My passion for football, for those that know me, is quite big. And I came to the realization very young that I wasn't going to be a professional footballer. So I started coaching at about 18. So that's the story behind my coaching.
When I was reading your book, it led me to ask this following question, and I think a lot of people here would also relate. How often do you think, or you advise people to reset their mindset in order to reach greater things, like generally, you know? is such a powerful name, and it's something I personally, like I did my reset last year, you know, and it was very important. But how often do you think that is, you know, coming from somebody with your background and stuff like that, everyone here, how often does that mindset need to happen?
I think every day. I think every day you need to be able to tackle the day with a clear mind. I think that's already a reset. I think every day you face a challenge. Don't be scared of failure. Don't be scared of not getting something right, because it only becomes failure if you don't learn from it, if you don't progress from it. It's very important that we realize that the brain plays such an important role in the whole domino effect, all 5 dominoes. And for me, don't overcomplicate it. Don't set yourself multiple goals. Set yourself a goal every day. Try to achieve that, and then progress.
Okay. I got to worry about rent. I got to worry about this. You know, maybe someone in the family is sick. There's a lot of things. So how are you able to focus about resetting?
I think whether you're a professional, whether you're a coach, or whether you're just a human being, I think the first thing is to listen. I think nowadays we have the answers ready for the amount of beautiful faces we see here. Everyone has their journey. Everyone has their story. I can't give you a ready-made sheet that tells you what you need to do. What I need to do is I need to listen. And by listening, the power of listening, all of a sudden there's this element of like being selfless. So you're actually trying to help someone just by staying quiet. And nowadays, with the powers of social media and the power of technology and trying to be on top, we kind of forget our purpose here. There's been hashtags going around like be kind and do all that. That's great. But before you be kind, you have to listen to understand what the person has. Because like you said, rent, family, the pressures of, you know, supporting people. My beautiful mum sitting in the front, the real celebrity for today, has dedicated her life to me. So who am I to cut her off and instead understand that wealth of knowledge and experience is enough for me to stay quiet for a few minutes a day. And nowadays we have answers, but we haven't listened to the question. And so reset. And another thing, by the way, I will say one more thing. I don't have all the answers here. I have learned from people like my mom and people like yourself, even here in the crowd today, who are very dear to my heart. You know who you are, all of you, right? I have learned, so sometimes I have to go back to the book and understand if that fits, if that works, if that's something that resonates with me, you know, because if I don't do that, then I'm not practicing what I preach. And the pressures of being an author, and I have to shout out my publisher, Mustafa Hamwi, as well, because the pressures of being an author, I have so much respect for them now. I've put my heart and soul into one book. I can't write again. That's me done. I'm not going to be a multiple author, but that just tells you that there's a sense of empathy in there, and hopefully you will find yourself within the book. The book is not about Omar Al Duri. The book is about you guys. Once you finish the book, it becomes my reset book. It becomes your book to relate to and identify with things in there, right? And trying to simplify is the key word, because there's so much depth in well-being that you can't put everything in one book, no matter how good the author is. So it's the 5 dominoes simplified for you to find yourself within the book.
I think big round of applause for that answer right there. I just want to read to the first page of the book. You wrote a dedication that's so cool. I should read a little bit about it if you don't mind. This is really dope. I dedicate this book to my mother, Fatma, a big round of applause. And wife, Maria, a big round of applause as well. Saying paradise lies under the feet of a mother. This is truly, truth. To the world, you are a mother. To a family, you are the world. Maria, you are my best friend, and knowing you are present and willing to lift me up when I'm feeling down, lets me know I'm not alone, and fills my heart with gratitude and love. Man, oh man. Thank you both for redefining the true meaning of unconditional love and allowing me to feel alive. This isn't a beautiful thing. When I read that, I got goosebumps. So I'm jumping straight to the question. These 2 incredible women in your life, you know, your mother, God bless her. I just met her. She's an incredible, amazing, funny, amazing. I love her already. In what way, when you were writing this book, I want you to tell us a story about each one of them. In what way did they help you go past some of the challenges and I want you to include both of them. Like what have they done, in order for you to accomplish something like this? And yeah, I know you're getting emotional, which is you're a human being. I give him a big round of applause one more time, Omar Al Duri. What did they mean to you, and in what way did they push you, Mom and
To my mum,
Good.
The pressures of motherhood I could not explain, because obviously I'm not a mother. But the respect I have for women into my journeys through that woman there. The not having a father around is very tough, and she had to do two roles, so mother and father. So that's the biggest compliment. To my wife, that is opening, a whole new chapter to be able to fix what I didn't have growing up with you. So hopefully I'll do a good job of representing fatherhood to our future child and child.
Wow. Bless. Sorry, I had to speak about that, and I think it's beautiful. When I read that, I related that, and any of you guys will relate to that. We all have family comes first, man, and this is such a beautiful thing that you were able to dedicate this to two people in your life that are very important, of course. Let's shift gear a little bit here, Omar. And this is why I love you, man. I swear to God, because you are talking about something that not a lot of Arab men talk about, or maybe Arab people generally talk about. Mental health. You open the TV, you hear the same, حبيتك حبيتيني خلتيني, I don't know what. Sorry, I'll explain that later in English. Do you think that the Arab region realizes how important this discussion is? Because you're not only talking about fitness and taking care of your body. I don't want to give away the book, but in the book there's some incredible stuff, really. You gotta buy that book. It's out for 40 dirhams today. So buy that book, get it signed. How important is this discussion? Do you think that we're taking it lightly? Because mental health is truly important.
I think with mental health, the problem is sometimes, and this is in life in general, I think we often neglect prevention over cure. And I mentioned that in the book because we don't do things that are prevention, and we focus on it once it's later in the journey and you have to fix it. Mental health should be in schools at a very young age. We've got a special little guest who's 5 years old now. He's probably playing with his toy instead of listening.
What's his name?
His name is Sultan.
That's Sultan. Makes sense.
When they start to go to school, it's important that we introduce these things just to raise awareness from then, because actually what people don't know is it starts very young. And through going through issues as a child or going through issues as a teenager, this evolves in time, and then it becomes serious when we have to cure it. And that's the problem with mental health. In the Middle East, having been born and raised in London and coming over here, in the Middle East, there is that stigma that, man up, you've got to be big enough to just deal with it on your own. But the truth is, that doesn't mean you're manning up. That just means you're bottling it up till it's late. And then in the end, those same people who are saying man up probably go through the same problems and have those difficulties. So mental health is so huge. And I call it mental fitness because it's a consistent practice. It's not just something you fix overnight. It's something that you prevent at an early age, and you allow people to talk about it and speak about it and understand it. And it's okay to do that. When people think it's not okay, there's something probably wrong with them and with the surroundings. Make sure that it makes such a big difference in someone's world to be able to speak about their things. Because like you said, Has, I'll tell you something about Has, and he doesn't know I'm going to mention this now. It's my turn. I reached out to Has before I started working on radio because I wanted to listen to Has. Has is And today, he's got more fans. He's one of the most lovable guys you'll know, and also leaves a mark. And that's why it's very fitting to have him next to me, because I honestly couldn't think of anyone else who would do a better job at representing this side of being a real man. He's lovable, he's emotional, he's big Hass, you know, and so having him next to me here to speak to you guys, because normally, I don't know if you relate to this, but normally I struggle talking about what I do or myself or my achievements. This guy doesn't struggle doing that for me.
Not so far, though. He's doing good.
So, to answer your question, being a real man and dealing with real issues like mental health and mental fitness, that really defines who you are. Not just for you, for the people that you're around, for your family, for your wife, for your kids, for your workmates, for your friends, the people you play sport with, the people you enjoy your time with. Everything's affected, your environment is affected by you first. So if you don't love yourself and show that self-love and give yourself the time to love yourself, and that means you have to sometimes block a few things out to be able to do that. Only then, I know you said not to talk about the book, but I'm relaying it to you now, sorry. Okay?
Amazing.
Only then can you then offer more to those around you. You know, and that's how I feel about that side of things, mental health. I don't claim to be an expert at it. I'm a product of it, and I've struggled with it for years, and I continue to struggle with it on an hourly basis every now and then. And my poor wife and my mom have to take it from me, and then that way, after they absorb what I go through in my mind, I'm able to give to those beautiful faces that are here with us today.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, since you mentioned that up, I just want to tell you a quick story. So last year I went through a very health scare. I think that everything happens for a reason. God knocked on my door and I went to do a checkup and everything was kind of borderline. You know, everything like blood pressure, man, it was really bad. So I really had to go through a transfer, like really a big transformation. And as Khalafat Mahir said, you're no longer a big Hass, you're slim Hass. But yeah, you know, I really lost like 20 7 months or so, which is kind of really interesting to me. But to talk about that, Omar was one of the very few people that would just DM and message, hey man, how you doing today? Hey man, how you doing today? You good? Hey man, how you doing today? It didn't only happen one time. You know how he is. And I felt like, you know, cared for. And again, I only know Omar from, obviously we work in the same station, Pulse 95 Radio, which is Sharjah's first and only English radio station. Of course, historic in every single way.
In the heart of Sharjah.
In the heart of Sharjah, we had a you know, our boss is right there. Yeah, but you know, it's truly amazing. So again, having someone write a book like this for me, I was just studying Anna Schofield, who deserves a big round of applause. She made this happen. And give her a big round of applause. If you don't know, he is the voice of Emirates. You know Emirates when you call?
Yeah.
That's the voice, ladies and gentlemen. So I was telling them that I don't read a lot of books. Like I've read Lord of the Flies, a couple of hip hop books, and
it's true.
a basketball book, and it's like the 4th or 5th book I read. I know it sounds bad, but I mean, I'm telling you, I really read this and I enjoyed reading it. So you should definitely go buy the book. I plugged that twice. You know, I want all these copies to go away today. But what I'm trying to say is zubda, like we say, and Khalafah, I'm sure you know, the butter, okay, and khulasa, a summary, is that, you know, this guy is truly an incredible legend. There's so much heart in him, and to put that in a book, really, he's also inviting you to his world. But what you said about the book being interpreted to different things is absolutely true. I want to put you on the spot again, man, and I want you to read something from the book, something that, you know, that kind of, you know, resonate with you, that you can just more like 4 or 5 lines from the book, something that you can share with us, because the book really is, like I said, very, very simple, but yet very effective. So I don't know, what do you choose? Yeah. This is called putting you on the spot question.
Okay.
Interview 101. I think so.
All right.
Ah, he chose it. Okay.
Man, you didn't send me these questions yesterday.
I know, I'm just saying.
Okay, the one thing I will say, and again, I really didn't have this planned, but it's probably, it's a page, doesn't have much on it, Okay, I'm just going to point it out here just very briefly. So it doesn't have much on it, but I think the reason why I picked this page is because I think we often focus on what we don't have rather than being grateful for what we do have. There's a gratitude journal at the end of the book, which, that's a good question. It is, it doesn't actually have a page number on it. It should be 92.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. But because it's a blank page, we didn't put a number on it. Just something to be grateful for. I have a gratitude journal at the end for you guys to write what you're grateful for after finding yourself in the book. The page just says, there's always something to be grateful for. So I've attached a gratitude journal at the end of this book for you to be able to come away with more than what you started with. So that's what I would pick out of everything. Because you put me on the spot, man. I'm not going to lie.
That's dope.
I would say just being grateful. I think that's something that sometimes humanly we tend to forget. So yeah, being grateful.
Wow, I love that. I do have a couple more questions, but I want you guys to think about your questions because I want you guys to really, I want everyone here to ask questions for Omar, all right? Omar, did you ever think that you're going to write a book? Like, you're going to be you're an author now?
Very quick answer, no.
No?
No, absolutely. My family name, Al Duri, wrote and what made a big difference in history and in Iraq, and I'm so proud of the family name Al Duri. My grandfather, my father, they've done some incredible things within their workspace and within their representing the brand name, but there's no way I'd feel worthy of writing a book on that level, so there was always bigger shoes to fill. So to answer your question, no.
Okay. I just want to reveal a little bit about the book here, okay? Just a little bit, not too much. One of the dominos you talk about, and something I want to challenge you with, okay? Okay. Train smart, not hard.
Right.
First question, why? Like, how did you come to that realization in terms of train smart, not hard? Because it's something I hear from a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest players, if not the greatest, sorry, no debate. To pick up a basketball, he actually said that basketball is 70% mental, 30% physical. Yeah. You know, like, it's crazy when you see, like, how is it mental when you have a 7'2" like Shaquille O'Neal blocking the basket? Mm-hmm. How do you attack that? Mm-hmm. But then you see people like Muggsy Bogues, who's around 5'2", attacking Shaq and actually scoring on him. Mm. So it's no longer physical. Right. It's really mental. Yes, he gets blocked 99% of the time. Happens. But that 1%, he scores a basket. Yeah. Tell us about that, Domino.
Okay. For that domino, just to simplify it, there is no age on reset. Reset can start off from a very young age to the top. We spoke about prevention over cure. If people start to program, resetting something early on and getting themselves set for life, then as you get older, like myself, and you've been training and you put your body through a lot of stress over the years, you then have to come to realize to leave your ego at the door, and you can't do things you were doing probably 10 years ago. At that stage, you have to train smart, not hard, which means you still train, you still stay active, you still train the mind, probably more, like you said, than train the body, but you can still get the results you need. And so by doing so, the reason why that chapter is called Train Smart, Not Hard, doesn't mean hard training is not possible, because normally, hard work is essential to anything. It's just the fact that you have to accept that you have to do things a certain way. And by doing them a certain way, it's by being smart, and that's by training the mind first before you train the body.
Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and I think that resonated with me. Man, you answered the question well. I had like a different kind of reply. Okay, Play. I don't know how much longer we have, but I want to leave. I have a couple of questions, but I want to see if you guys have any questions. I'll come to you with my lovely mic, and then. Oh, you have a question? Okay. Give him a big round of applause one more time. I'm going to do it first. So I want you to say your name and then the question.
Okay. My name is Marquis, for those who don't know me. It took a lot of time for you to write a book and to include a lot in the book. And I know you say you're not going to write another book, but anyway. For Reset 2.0, what is it that you
question. I think you got some competition there, man. It's a good question.
I know, it's a good question.
Um,
You're gonna take my job.
to say that, if I'm being honest, life's experiences. So from when I published the book, which was November, till, let's say, and again, I don't think there will be a 2.0, but Maz, I will shout you out if I do make a 2.0. If I was, it'll be life's experiences, because obviously every day we experience certain things with certain people that might allow me to put more of the life's lessons in there rather than just what I've studied, because then I'll be able to put something that I relate to. And I think that's something about the book. It's very relatable. It's not something that, I'm not talking about things that I haven't done. I'm speaking about things that I've tried to practice, and hopefully you guys will too. So, yeah.
Hands up. Yeah.
Mike, I love you, brother. You're an amazing guy. We all know you. You're a funny guy, a strong guy, but you went through something very important. You had a car accident, and I want to know, how did it affect you in your life or thinking about things?
Oh man, you guys are dropping these questions, man.
Leave it to them?
Yeah, no, Mike, I love you too, man. Thanks for being a good brother. The life-threatening car accident was probably the biggest shake-up for me personally. For those that do know and experienced it with me, I was on my way from Dubai to Al Ain to coach in a tournament, and it was Ramadan, and I was fasting, and I had a slip disc, kidney stones, and I was on medication. Probably not ideal to be driving or fast at the same time, but it was during a month where I feel the practice in the mind is very, very important. And I tragically had an accident with two other cars, which, if you see the way the car looked, it's frightening, because the engine is normally at the front of the car, which was demolished, so that would have blown up. Thankfully, it's in the middle. I'd called my wife actually on the way. She was sleeping, so we didn't have much of a conversation. And then seconds later, I don't really remember from the concussion, but my head went through the glass. Both airbags went off. Thankfully, it was just me in the car, and completely blacked out while the car was still moving. And I don't know if Ajay, a friend of mine called Ajay, who helped resurrect the car at the time. When I was driving to the tournament, I couldn't think of anything but just obviously my wife, so I tried to call and speak to her, and then it didn't happen, and then that smash rocked my whole world in every sense and imagination. What meant a lot to me at a time where I was going through a lot of issues with mental health, and being able to wake up and still see the car moving is a blessing. So that, I said, my time on this earth wasn't up, which I might have questioned before. And then putting a lot of things in perspective, just being grateful, just being thankful, reaching out to those people maybe that I hadn't spoken to, and even actually contacting my dad as well, who I hadn't seen for about 11 years at that time. So maybe contacting him and just saying, listen, I love you and I hope you're okay. And he's like, are you okay? And I said, no. And I had to admit I wasn't, which was even harder, because that wasn't the way I was taught. I was taught, deal with it, get up. And a funny story that not many people know, that night, I still coached.
What?
Yeah, I still coached because that was my purpose. If I spent time dwelling on it, that would have been even worse for me. So people were driving to Al Ain and they saw my car smashed on the side. And we went and we had a tournament. We won, by the way, 1-0, just saying. And I coached that day, and a few of the the UAE Football Association people came on the field and looked at me and said, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. Just got a match to coach, and then I'll talk to you later. Then later on, the news came out, the pictures came out, and it changed everything, absolutely everything. And it's never too late to really be grateful for the smallest things because it can be taken away any second, like that. Do it again. Yeah, like that. One more time. Okay, yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, that changed my life a lot.
All right, meet them. God bless you. Okay. Questions? Come on, you guys. What's up, bro? Come on, you guys. Oh yeah, we got the MC right here. There you go, sir.
Omar, thank you, man. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you for that story because I didn't know it in its full entirety. I had something quite similar, and you've inspired me in many different ways. You've always inspired me over the years, but that has inspired me tenfold just for hearing that. Thank you very much, man. Seriously.
Thanks, man.
When it comes to reset, you said there's no age to it. What about the younger generation? Do you have anything that you would tie into them that would help, that reset would help them for the younger generation? Because obviously you coach in many different ages as well. So would you say this is relatable to any age group in terms of younger audiences?
Hey, thanks, Len. I appreciate that. Thank you. Actually, it's ideal because if I had something like that, I probably wouldn't have made as many mistakes. And as a teenager or as a male, sometimes our ego gets in the way, and mine got in the way a couple of times. So whether it's someone saying you can't do something, I'd have to really try and push the barriers until I knew I could. Now I look back and think, Omar, you fool, like you didn't have to do that. You know, you could have just done things a bit more smarter, and that comes down to the 5 dominoes, and that's why they're so important. The reason why I picked dominoes is because the alignment of the dominoes, even if you've got 4 perfect dominoes, one can affect all of them. And there's a chain reaction. So instead of chapters, I picked dominoes, and that's why you see the domino system on there. And that comes through study as well. So you can't be harsh on someone younger and say, well, why didn't you think of that? Well, it's just education, right? And it's not just education from the book, it's education from life. So again, I have to go back into there sometimes and go, yeah, you need to fix that, because that's probably why from the morning it affects the whole chain of the rest of my day if I haven't got things planned out the way I want to do them. So if I had something like that, especially with the pressures of, as I said earlier, my mum having to deal with a lot, it's a lot of pressure for her to be able to teach me everything. And there's some things that obviously I need to learn on my own. So this is kind of a way to say to, let's say, the younger Omar, that, you know what, like, or the younger Sarah, if it's a female, or Alia, just saying, hint for the names of the babies. Yeah, just saying, that would have been something where I can read that. Actually, I have someone here, I don't know if she's still here, but I'm going to say it anyway. Her name is Amna. She used to be a national team player with me, and she was here earlier. She's there, there she is. Amna used to represent the UAE national team in football, and one of the brightest footballers, but also like teenagers. Can I say teenagers? The brightest teenagers that I've worked with. Nice. That actually, instead of gifting her something like a football, I told her about a certain author that she needed to read about, because she was so smart, right? And that's the educational part where it adds to your arsenal. Mom, Arsenal.
Nicely done.
You like that, right?
Oh, okay.
So sorry to ramble on, but players like Amna and human beings like Amna are going to inspire the rest of the world. They are the ones who are going to make the difference. I'm just there to be able to sometimes, if I can, try and just guide it a certain way and let them roll with it, and then they end up being the real leaders of the new generation. So Amna, thank you for coming. I know you didn't expect me to put you on the spot, but thank you for coming, because it is really about you educating rather than me. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Perfect. That's good. Your name and question, please.
My name is Zara. So, as you mentioned earlier, there's big stigma around mental health and the Arab world and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to know how you feel you could tackle something like that. So say you have a friend who doesn't believe, who would never pick up a book like this, what you would say to them and how you would kind of change their mindset, get them kind of, even just to consider reading something like this, or to to think maybe that there is not everything is right, there may be something wrong with their thoughts and how they should approach things.
So, very good question. I think if it doesn't get to the book, that's fine. It's the closest person to you that can do what the book does. I know my publisher won't help me saying that, but the closest person to you to be able to listen to something is to be able to identify something. And to be able to identify something is already part of the problem. It's because normally we can't identify what it is. There's something there that is just in the back of mind. Having someone that is closer to you to be able to express that is the first step to it. It's not the fix, because I believe it's a practice. I don't believe it's something that you can fix overnight. But having someone that can listen and eventually identify, we really need, with these things, especially with mental health, it's called a silent killer, right? Because it's way deeper than just medication to fix it, right? There's a lot of things that you kind of have to be open to doing. And that is firstly seeking help and speaking to someone. Those are the early stages. Then the next part is professional. A professional who deals with, these cases every day, because it is part of life. You can't ignore it. The ones that dodge it and ignore it are the ones that normally suffer later on. So for your friend, I would say, and especially if you've identified it already, then I have a couple of people that will remain nameless, but I try and do that because I've seen it. And we've all in this room been through some sort of it. So if we've all been through some sort of it and you can actually see it and it's not clogging your vision, just try to reach out to them, because honestly speaking, it means the world to them. Whether they realize that now or later, it genuinely means the world to them because you're not asking for anything. And that is the key. It's not something you can fix overnight, so you have to remain patient. You have to bug people sometimes. But by doing so, later on, they'll understand the humanity part of it, the idea of empathy, which we lack nowadays as well. Because we're busy, everyone's busy. We all have things. We all have things to do. We all have priorities. We all have families. But that sense of empathy and the sense of just trying your best to at least keep plugging to be able to make sure they know they're not alone. Because being alone is one of the hardest things. The identity of that is scary, because that's when you can't do things on your own. You can't seek help. You just feel like you're in charge, when, to be honest, it's okay to speak to other people and understand, because they might offer something. I might be inspired by you all today in some form or another. If I'm closed off to it and I'm thinking on my own, I'm not going to gain that. You understand what I mean? So I think it's a culmination of everything I've mentioned, but I think if you've identified your friend already, I think just make sure you always have a lending ear, because that's the initial stage to that process. I'll tell you that now.
So I've known you for a number of years,
Yeah.
and I've experienced or shared with you your high points and some of your low points.
Absolutely.
Some of the things I've heard today is just a one-off for me. When you're close to someone, but you don't pick up on signs that they may be going through something, what can you do to be able to be, I guess, more receptive and pick up on signals? And once you do, again, how do you then engage? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes, everyone's living their life, I've seen people, they connect only on happy moments. And it's not always right, because that's a fake friendship.
Yes.
You see what I mean? But how do you do it effectively when you identify that someone's going through potential issues?
Good question. The reason why I call him Wingy, just to start off with, because I know you're wondering about that first, is because he has the best wings place in town.
What's it called?
It's called Wingsters.
Oh, okay.
So
Location?
he don't deliver to my house. Thank you for the question. I think to be honest, I said this before with Grant, actually. Shout out to Grant. Thanks, Sultan. You too. Yeah, that's my guy. We live in a world that's visual. So what people see is through just their eyes. So if it's social media, it's not really cool to put something that's negative. So the first thing is not to believe that. You know, to be fair, you know, a lot of people in this room have played a huge part in just maintaining my stigma personally. It's really hard to answer that question where I don't have all the answers to being the perfect person to engage with. But what I will say is, with social media and visuals, don't believe that. Because there's so much more to every person. And Big Hass, I'm going to keep giving you a shout out, but Big Hass is the classic example. Everyone that comes across him, most lovable guy, and he's the one that lifts the energy up. But who lifts his energy up? See? So he's got his family, he's got, you know, his life and everything, but he plays such a significant role that instead of believing all that we see of Big Hass, whether it's on TV, buckle up, is that right? Yeah. YouTube, buckle up? If it's on YouTube, buckle up as well. You see him lifting the energy. So we're all the same, even if you're as Big Hass, or Slim Hass, as my mom calls it, right? Right? So the point is, I'm saying is like not to believe the hype, the social media, that stuff, because there's so much more to every single person in this room that we come across of, you know. And I don't have the answer of engagement, to be honest, but I do have the answer of just treating every individual as their own, rather than just, you know, trying to find, you know, the best engagement for it.
Okay, I think we have a couple more questions. Yes, sir.
My name is Abdullah. Knowing you, Omar, and how highly my mother speaks of you, and knowing how charismatic and positive you are, you must have told this to me before, or it probably slipped my mind, but just realizing that you had an absent parent and seeing how you don't lack, you're very, very charismatic, you're always peaceful. What would you have to say to someone who, you know, who has an absent father or an absent parent, in that matter? And what would you say what are the important, you know, how important are these two amazing women in your life?
Thank you. Firstly, I mean, with the type of mother you have, that is already a compliment in its own. God bless her. Look, again, the best way to handle that, and I say this a lot with my mother, the best thing my dad did was be absent. Because, I'll tell you why, it's not just being positive, it's appreciating the selfless, unconditional love that my mother gave, and what my wife is going to give. You better give that. But no, on the serious note, my father's a great man, honestly speaking, and he's the best at what he does. What he does, he's an orthopedic surgeon. One of his patients is here today. Yeah, one of his patients here, and she came all the way from Abu Dhabi. Right? Do I expect that from him? No. But the fact he has done enough to be able to cure her, that's my way of appreciating that scenario. If I was to sit and dwell, it's going to take me longer to get over mental health. And it stems off things. It does stem off things. But the best lesson I had was figuring things out on myself at a time where I had to go through, because I can study all I want. The 2 degrees don't mean anything if I don't have life's lessons, if I can't understand the situation, if I can't empathize with people, if I can't work with people. None of that matters. Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but not be able to deliver the most basic thing, love. Honestly, I swear to God, like, it comes down to that. And it comes down to you being able to give without wanting something back. And it does come round. I genuinely believe that the universe gives you back. A year ago, or actually it's July, I started working at a radio station, Pulse 95. Pulse 95 at the back. Yeah. Before that, I never knew I was going to be on radio. And that's honestly speaking. And also the fact they took a risk on me. I agree with you. Yeah. So, but then what it did is it opened up gates to meet great people like the ones from Pulse 95, like Anna Schofield, who's done everything she can to make this happen, like Big Hass, who's hosted and made this incredible. Yeah, it all came from that. But I didn't know that was happening. So the universe gives back. So I can't dwell on one thing with my dad and him not being here, when, to be honest, other people are doing a pretty good job of it. So to answer your question, life's lessons really, really teaches you just as much. And sometimes, depends the perspective you look at it, it gives you back. So, yeah.
Amazing. Before our next, maybe a couple more questions, I just want to say there's an old Bedouin saying, inspired me by you saying that. I'll say it in Arabic and then translate it. In Arabic it says, الإنسان الذي لا أثر له لا حياة له. A human being with no impact has no life. And I think you agree with me that sorry, it doesn't matter what kind of impact we do. That's up to God to judge. But I think what your book is going to do is going to impact, and that's really important. Okay, I don't know how much time we got, but I think a couple more questions. Let's see, lady in the back. No.
Hey, Omar, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
So, just touching on a couple of points that you made earlier, I know we've talked about this a lot before as well, but in a day and age where social media is everything, and like you say, everyone tries to present the most perfect picture of themselves, I think a lot of the time there's this idea that you don't want to be negative, and in that sort of fear of spreading negativity, which we all support, there's also the flip side, where to a certain extent there can be toxic positivity, where people are forced to try and show that they're happy all the time. And that can also be quite dangerous, because you've got to let it out somehow, because human nature is duality, and you've got both sides. So, I mean, I guess from your point of view, this is going to be different for everyone, but I would love to know, how do you know where that line is? When is the right time to say, yes, this is something I do need to talk about, even if it's not a pleasant subject and I need to get it out, versus just smile and get over it, it's not that big of a deal. And when you do vent it out, when do you know, how do you know where's the line? Okay, I've vented enough, now I need to stop and get over it and smile again, rather than letting it go too far, because I think that's a tricky line to draw for a lot of people, and that advice would be really helpful.
That's a good question. As I'm walking there, I'm trying to say, I'm sure you agree with me, Omar, that this book has also sparked all these conversations, which is really nice. So again, big round of applause for this brother.
Thanks for coming, firstly. I know you got a busy schedule, so I appreciate that. I fell out of love with the industry. Health and fitness for me has been my life. I fell out of love with it because I couldn't fit in. I still, to some degree, don't. The truth behind that is, when you said, what's the right balance? For me, the right balance is speaking to those that matter and not seeking assurance for those that don't. And I think, in a way, that sums up social media. Because the ones that support you will like the picture. Whatever it is, it could be a dot. They'll love it because it's you. The ones that don't will look at it and go, what's the point? When you start to seek assurance of people that don't matter, you're creating something that is probably going to be negative in your favor. You're not going to get what you want. For me today, and I was saying this to Big House earlier, like 10:45, I think Grant was here, my mum, my wife, and then Mike. I looked around and thought, oh my God, how are we going to fill this room up? And then when it got down to 11:10, 11:15, I was like, thank God there's 15 people. Okay? And then when I spoke to Anna, I was like, you know what, Anna, what I really like about today is the ones that did show up, it matters. And so, like I said, when people like something, they're gonna like it, they're gonna click it. If they don't, they're gonna walk past it. What makes today so special for me is the effort you guys have made to be here for me when you haven't even read the book. Well, some of you have, but you haven't even seen or heard from what we have to say, and you're already here. And that support is what counts, because I might not have 4 million followers, but I've got 40 people here that count. So that, for me, is what I've learned, by the way. It wasn't always like that. Before, I used to try and make everyone happy around me. And that takes a toll, right, Big House? You know, so now that I appreciate those faces that are here, it means the world to me, absolutely. And so that's also life's lessons. And, you know, that's hopefully I answered your question.
Cool. I think one last question, if you have any. Okay,
Sultan, yes, Sultan.
Last but not least, give it up for Sultan, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna come right here. Standing. Give him a big round of applause, Sultan. Okay, Sultan, you gotta ask the question. Let's go. I want you to be as loud as you can. Don't worry, there's nobody. Just be oh, you say, okay. Give her a big round of applause. That's really cool. Incredible soul. Incredible soul. الله يحميه دائما ابدا وتعالى دائما فوق راسه ان شاء الله. Maria, what do you have to say, about what this incredible man has accomplished?
I think we should all be thanking you because of the positive impact that you have had on our lives. Before we even started dating, you were always somebody that I looked up to as a footballer. I'm going to say footballer just because it's your day. It's normally soccer player. But again, I think I speak on all of us here that you have been a positive impact on all of our lives in one way, in more than one way. So thank you for putting all of your experience into one place for us to continue to learn from.
Man, I can't end it on a better note. Okay, before we end, guys, when I say read, you say set. Read. Set. Come on, you guys gotta read. Set. Read. Set. Read. Set. Set. Before I let you go, this is an important moment in your life. You have published the book. Congratulations, that's amazing. You guys need to buy that book. So I want to take a picture. I want the photographer, your lovely photographer. What's your name? Naomi. Iomi. Okay, beautiful name. I want you to stand right here.
Okay.
And I want you guys to stand up. Stand up, everybody. And let's take a picture with this incredible man. So again, you guys, let's celebrate this incredible person. Okay?
See you guys?
On the couch. Weslodge. All good. This happens.
Big house, yeah.
On the count of 3, everybody's hands up. 1, 2, 3, hands up. Come on, Weslodge. Make some noise. No,
Big house, I want you here. I want you here.
1, 2, 3, let's go. Wait, you guys have to be louder. 1 second. 1, 2, 3.
Claudia.
One more, sorry.
You got a plug book?
Tata.
Yeah, let's go. Plug the book. 1, 2, 3. Make some noise for Omar Al Duri. Okay. I want you guys to make some noise for Weslodge for having us right here. Thank you so much. You can get your book signed right here. So who has bought the book? Amazing. You can put a line right here where Omar Al Duri will be signing the book. You got the first one, line right here. Give yourself a big round of applause. Yo guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the book, read it. Blessings. And God bless you all. Peace and love. Make some noise, everybody. We're going to have a line right now. I'm going to do this signing the book.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure.
This is the first time I've been invited by an author. Special.
Thank you, bro.